Welcome to Situational Awareness, a podcast brought to you by Militarnyi.com. I'm your host Valentina Kuzik, and today we'll talk to Rory Chamberlain. He's a Managing Director of Ukrspecsystems UK. Welcome to the show, Mr. Chamberlain. We are very happy to have you on a podcast. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about being here.
Great. So we know you're based in UK and you're the Managing Director of UK Ukrspecsystems. So can you tell us a bit more about the mission of Ukrspecsystems in UK?
So, our mission is to bring the best experience out of Ukraine and really bring it to UK in a big way. I'm proud to be part of Ukrspecsystems. I'm excited by everything that they've done and continue to do. They really are leaders, and I think the UK recognizes Ukraine as a whole in leaders in the UAV domain, and Ukrspecsystems as being one of those leaders within Ukraine. So it's fantastic that we've come to the UK to show our technology, show our equipment, show everything that we've learned, and bring that to the UK for them to see and the allies. That's kind of what we plan to do and plan to build. And I'm sat in our production facility. It's all here and real, and there's a lot of work going on with the team to get the facility commissioned and in place. So it's all fantastic work. Ukrspecsystems in Ukraine has grown from being a small team to being over thousands of people, and that growth has been massive. But it's based on their success. It's based on how they've approached the problems, how they've solved them so quickly, rapidly, and I want to bring that pace, that development cycle to the UK, that energy that Ukrspecsystems brings. That's what we need to bring to the UK, because we need to change the way defence is working in the UK to meet the threat that we have so visually seen.
Right. Talking about the production capacities, right? Have you opened anything as of now, or are you planning to invest in new facilities in Middlehill from what we see in the news?
So I'm in the facility right now. So yeah, our investment has started, and we do have a plan over 5 years to grow. We do have an airfield where we are currently putting in a specific UAV runway, which is fantastic. And yeah, there are other sites that we are looking at within the expansion plan, but it starts here in Mildenhall. This is the first step, and there's, as I said, a lot of work going on with the team to get the production line ready, start building the skills. We've been working with the local education establishments as well. Again, it's about thinking deeper than just the product, but it's about the whole ecosystem. And the whole ecosystem that has developed in Ukraine so quickly, some of that also is within education as well. So we need to respect that. And if you really want to learn the lessons of Ukraine, you need to go back to the educational principles as well as the types of engineers. I think Ukraine has its best engineers working in defense. That's without a shadow of a doubt. And we need to bring that into the UK as well. The best engineers want to be excited about working in defense now, and we want to bring those best people in. And UAVs being the new technology and exciting, and the way we're bringing AI and everything, this is where we can really harness the education side of things and really get the younger generation excited about working in this domain. So I'm working at all levels of trying to build, take the Ukraine ecosystem that Ukrspecsystems has generated and really put it into the UK. And that's why there's a short-term plan of getting the production facility commissioned, which is definitely a lot of fun and exciting. But then there's a long-term plan of how do we make a real change in defense for the UK, but also so that it can support Ukraine as well. This is about security of supply as well. It's about secure supply chain, secure energy infrastructure that is all in place in the UK that can support Ukraine now and in the future. And then it's how it can also support the UK defense industries as well. with their aims within NATO.
That's very interesting. You mentioned, I have lots of questions regarding that.
Yes, okay.
So you mentioned that you are in the process, of investing and building the production facilities. Can you expand a little bit on what are the key, key milestones in this process and project?
So the key milestones are, I think the first one is to what we call to be commissioned. So we expect to be commissioned early in the new year, which means that we are ready for production. And then the milestones after that is to develop the engineering side, as much as the bulk of the R&D will be in Ukraine. That's where the bulk of the engineers are and the experience is. There'll be a part of Ukrspecsystems R&D that will be here to harmonize what are things like NATO standards, and start to put those into the product, and then create the feedback and the link with Ukraine, because it's very much a joint endeavor to create common products. What we don't want to do is have different bill of standards and different standards that customers expect. We want to have common products.
And it makes no sense in terms of security, globalization, and alliances, right?
Yeah.
But can you predict when you will be actually able to start the production in UK? Or you have already started?
We haven't already started. There are some steps we need to go through. There is obviously Ukrainian task, which another side which is working on that export approval for the transfer of technology. So we are doing everything to be ready for that. Our motto is in advance. It's and so we're here to be in advance. We're here to be ready. And we are working with the UK government and the Ukrainian government on the transfer of technology and how it's done in the right way, so that it supports it aligns with the priorities of both governments, really. And
right.
Yes, they're very excited about doing this. There's just steps and work and bureaucracy that has to happen to make sure that it's all done in the right way. So we support that. We're not the key decision makers to that, but we're here to do everything we can so that we're in advance, because we have to support the soldiers on the front line right now. We have to be ready for every eventuality. And this is one way that, through secure energy, secure supply chain, secure site in the UK, we can support if needed.
Right. You mentioned, while talking about your production in UK, you mentioned R&D and young engineers, like not young, you just mentioned the engineers to be right. Yeah. You mentioned the engineers in Ukraine, they want to join defense. My question would be, R&D, so you are hiring Ukrainian engineers to work on R&D within Ukrspecsystems, but you're not taking the engineers to the UK, don't you?
I think so that may happen in the future. So there is definitely, we're not saying
a
no to
demand
that.
for that.
It's more complex than that. There are, for people to get visas to come and work in the UK, it's much more complex. So now is not the time. But in the future, for me, in my past, in my defense industry, I've worked internationally, and it's allowed me to grow as a professional, see different cultures. So I think actually, as Ukrspecsystems grows internationally, I think there's a fantastic opportunity for the Ukrainian engineers that are in place to get some of that international experience and right all around the business, really, in terms of all the different roles. It's a fantastic opportunity for them to see other cultures, other defense industries, and how they work, and learn what is good, what is bad. It's a fantastic opportunity. So I think that will happen in the future, but I think more from a principle, the bulk of R&D will still be in Ukraine. The regulatory framework supports it, access to airspace, just the understanding, the tempo. It's right now the pace setters are Ukraine in development, so it wouldn't make sense to bring it to the UK. It makes much more sense for it to be in Ukraine, where it can still set the pace.
Right.
And then it's about how we learn and transfer that going forward in the future, and harmonize it with the NATO standards that
Okay, I have another interesting question. You mentioned the cooperation with educational establishment. Yeah, I imagine those are
Yeah.
universities, maybe some courses. We do have that kind of a problem and a challenge in Ukraine as well. We are lacking talent. You know, a lot of people and engineers are basically on the front. Some of people fled Ukraine. So also what our enterprises and both the government is trying to do is to basically raise those young engineers to work on defense. And there are some programs that companies are launching. There are also cooperations with university. My question to you will be, do you have like those specific training programs within Ukrspecsystems UK, or do you cooperate only with universities? If you do, are you somehow bringing in the knowledge of Ukrainian engineers, not only in terms of that they have it on paper, but maybe some online classes or something like that. So, in-person exchange.
Yeah, so the plan is to do that with the support of the local education establishments. So yes, we will come in and we will provide courses. We will provide our learning and information to those that are in the local area. And we have, we do have Ukrainians in the local area in the UK, but we have lots of different people in the local area. So that's what we are working on right now, what that curriculum looks like. And where we can support, where we can show our technologies, all this kind of stuff, and how we can support wider. And it's not necessarily just for the benefit of Ukrspecsystems as well. It goes into the ecosystem of other UAV manufacturers or UAV parts of the supply chain. But it's that bringing that understanding at a young age, and it starts in the kind of 11 plus, where we can start that introduction at different levels of create an interest, develop that interest, and educate that as they go through. And so we're working on what does that program look like, and we're also looking at veteran support programs as well. So where we can generate a program for veterans before they leave service that gets them ready for the UAV domain, and whether that supports again Ukrspecsystems or whether that supports the ecosystem, that's just something we're looking at. I know in Ukraine there are other things that the Ukraine business does with apprenticeships, and we will match that with apprenticeships and graduates as well. But we also want to have a deeper benefit into the new curriculums and the new standards that this new industry is going to expect of the people that want a job, effectively. And
Right.
so, we have to get them ready and get them aware. So it all starts here, and it's a lot of work, but it's an enjoyable thing, and hopefully, I'm passionate about it being a positive thing. So yeah, that's what I'm here.
Absolutely. I totally support you. From what I hear from our companies, that to replicate the Ukrainian defense tech ecosystem would take like 10 years in other countries or maybe even more. But I'm seeing you doing like the first steps, and I'm quite sure you'll succeed. And I think that's a great idea. So good luck with that.
As I say, in advance is our motto, and you'll see it all the way through. This is
Yeah, I
what can we
see
do in
it.
advance.
I see you're doing that in practice. In terms of establishing, again, production process in UK, what advantages does it give to your Ukrspecsystems?
I think I've already spoken about the resilience angle, right? And that is first and foremost that secure supply chain, secure energy, that resilience that we can support Ukraine now and in the future. The access to the different standards that are in NATO as well. So there's that feedback loop of what we will learn from being here, and that's already happening as we start to look at supporting, the UK military and other countries within NATO. We get to see what is their expectation, and sometimes, yes, there is a gap in that expectation, but who's got the balance right is the conversation that we're having right now, because NATO has woken up that Ukraine is a leader. I think there are some misconceptions that happen, and we can talk about that, but I think militarily people see Ukraine as a leader. So we need to add challenge to some of those NATO standards in the right way, as to have they got the balance right, or are they not fit for purpose. So that's a benefit of us being in the UK, is we get to have that dialogue that Ukraine itself can't have, but Ukrspecsystems as a UK company can have.
Right.
So, and the other thing is the partnership within the industrial base of, there are a lot of interesting technologies that we can now access, partnerships we can develop with those in the defence ecosystem that already exists in the UK that can benefit both sides in the UK and in Ukraine as well. So we're looking at growing those partners as well.
And you mentioned the misconceptions. Yeah. Any misconceptions about Ukraine as a whole, and maybe about the products that we have, like the drones and exactly the products of Ukrspecsystems?
So I think there is, we talk about the fog of war. Did you know this phrase, the fog of war?
Yeah, of course.
And I think it's one of those things that there's two ways I can imagine it, like a fog of war, or I imagine it like an iceberg. And I think there's a lot of media and press from both, industry and defense press talking about the equipment that was gifted. So the noise that is created around that doesn't match the actual work that is being done in Ukraine, where we are seeing the tip of the iceberg. We see the tip of the iceberg of the weapon equipment that is gifted and the results that it has, and Ukraine is very grateful for that, and it's never going to say it's not grateful. But underneath the water is the Ukraine industry and ecosystem that is really pushing and driving, and I think that's the fog. I think when the fog clears and people will see actually the mass. So when I have my interactions with other companies and other industry, and defense militaries, the first thing they go is, wow, you're that big, wow, you're producing that many, wow, oh, we had no idea. That's the first kind of wow moment they have. And I think I think the first misconception is just the depth and growth. And I think the UK, because of our partnership with Ukraine, there's a really good understanding there. And I think that's one of the reasons why we chose the UK, is that relationship is very strong. And we have the 100-year partnership that's going to endure, and we're going to be fundamental to making sure that does endure. So other misconceptions, I think, there is an idea that on the technology, I think we see again, it's about what is shown to us publicly. It's things, lots of FPVs everywhere. That's great, but the sophisticated systems don't get the airtime. But Ukrspecsystems has those sophisticated systems. It's well integrated. It has the open architecture that militaries want in the West. It has the method of development and the close working with the user that is desperately needed in NATO. So I think those are some of the misconceptions, and I think we are working against them. We are working to change that mind and lift that fog. But there's a lot of work to do. There are lots of other companies that rightly so want to show what they've done in Ukraine, and that's fine. But we also, and other Ukrainian industries, need to show what they've done as well. I think that we will see that in the future, I'm sure, honestly.
Do you have that feeling? That's what I'm hearing from the companies I'm talking to, is that Ukraine has this image of an agrarian country and nobody believes that we can build something meaningful here, even now, thinking that, most of that stuff is made of Chinese components and, you can't rely on that when working with European markets. Do you have this feeling it's still actual or it's fading?
I mean, me personally, I don't have that feeling at all. Obviously, I think the people that I've interacted with don't have that feeling as well. If I'm being honest, I think there is, this is changing very rapidly, and I think that's maybe 12 months out of date now. I think from what I see in the UK, it's very much Ukraine is a leader in the UAV space. um, and it's not just, it's the ability to have the right technology, producing at the right quantity at the right price. You've got to
Right.
hit all
Yeah.
three. It's very easy to have great technology, but it's super expensive and really hard to make. But that will not win a war. You have to get the balance right, and Ukraine has struck the balance really well. And I think that's what NATO is fighting with right now. It's trying to find the balance.
Mm.
There are lots of different companies trying to say they'll solve that, but Ukraine has solved it for itself, and now's that opportunity to really kind of demonstrate that and show that to NATO.
That was my next question about what differentiates your particular products from your competitors. And you kind of outlined the Ukrainian market, yeah, that those are a great, balance of price and efficiency. Is there something else about your Ukrspecsystems products that makes them stand out?
Um, I mean, it's the fact that it just does the job. It just works. I think there's a there are a lot of companies that are struggling right now to get anywhere close to the performance that Ukrspecsystems has. Um, every Ukrainian military person that I've come across speaks about how good Ukrspecsystems are, which makes me very proud to be working for them. So they are definitely seen as a leader in Ukraine. So I think that's where we've got a really strong advantage, is that battle proven nature that we really do bring. And again, it's the iceberg, it's the fog of war of Ukraine understands it, but what is shown to media, we don't show everything. We're not very we don't go very loud as to what we do. I think the team are laser focused on delivering for those soldiers on the front line, and that's the right thing to do. And I'd rather the team be doing that than speaking about some demonstration in a big loud way, and putting press all the way around the world for not a lot of value. I think we've got to spend our value on the R&D, and the R&D will deliver the right products, and that will keep us ahead of the competition.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. However, as you have to talk about great products so more people know about them, as well as, more people in the military who might become your clients. I don't think it's quite, of course, the case for your products because, it seems everyone knows the Shark, Drone, and PD, so it's not quite the case. But I see that you have a YouTube channel and you do have those, kind of description of cases where an actual military personnel talking about how they use the product. So I
Yeah.
think those are good examples of, as you say, like laser communication. So you don't communicate on everything and like in an advertising and promo style, but I think those stories
Yeah.
are also important just to everyone else, to be up to date and aware about your products. And maybe for new partnerships as well. Who knows? In terms of
Yeah.
partnerships, which markets particularly are you targeting, and where you're planning to work?
So initially we're looking at UK, NATO, supporting other NATO countries along the eastern flank as well. So that's our first uh, partnership that we're looking for. I think there is obviously a lot of other globally around the world where there is definitely interest, and there we are looking at how we support those, and whether that be similar to here as Ukrspecsystems going alone to put in its manufacturing establishment, or through partnerships. And I think we are very, and I think rightly so, careful about how we choose our partnerships. Um, it's very easy just to have a JV. Okay, great. I've got a JV with a random company, but is that company going to add value in the right way that I need them to? Do we overlap in any way? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. So we look for partners where we are all supporting. There isn't an overlap, and we are collaborating and we're strong in the independent areas. That brings the best JV.
Right.
So, we are open to those conversations. We are having those conversations, and it very much is on a case by case basis as to what we want to do. And yeah, it's all exciting times. I think there's a big team working on that, and I form only a small part of that, but I enjoy it.
Right. Which modules and technologies in the company in the short term are you preparing to launch in the market? Let's say maybe 12 months.
Yeah, so it's the sharks a bit, because they are the icons. So it's the mini sharks and the shark and the PD2 as well. So those are the first systems we are looking at. They are fantastic systems. They are capable systems, and we are also working on the component side of our business as well. So and I don't know whether you know this, but we have a whole business that makes the gimbal cameras, that makes the launchers, makes the parachutes. So I like to say, from launch to landing, we've got you covered.
Wow.
So a part of our UK strategy is also to bring all those components to the UK to help other UAV manufacturers in a completely agnostic way. We will support anybody. And also we're open to building other people's UAVs and doing R&D for other people if they have a particular use case, a particular performance they are searching. We can support that, we can test it, we can trial it, and then we can produce it for them as well.
That's a great point. And about the components, Mark, can you tell us a bit more again? Like, what are you going? You already mentioned what are you exactly producing? Any kind of new markets for this, or does the markets, or the consumers you're advertising that to is different from the actual products, right? Because also another issue that this dual use thing we found out recently, and it was public, that you're using a shark drone also to transport donor organs, right? And working with the health ministry. Are you looking into this domain as well?
Yeah, we're using the PD2 for that, which is fantastic. For me, the PD2 is like a Swiss Army knife. You know the Swiss Army knife?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do lots of things with it. So it's like a multi-tool and seeing that video of it transporting the heart and it still being viable at the end. That's the potential of PD2. It has performed search and rescue missions already. On the front line. It has done the ISR. So there are lots of critical national infrastructure that these kind of systems can do. There is the medical side, the search and rescue side. Those are three things where our systems can support as well. And from the component side, the gimbal cameras that we make, they have those use cases as well. So those are the types of things that we can bring to NATO, to Europe as an option for the future.
When you're mentioning the rescue missions, do you mean bringing some tools to the front line? I assume not taking people out, right?
So like over the sea rescue missions, finding someone that is overboard, dropping flotation devices. These are things that we have demonstrated and proven that we can do. That's why PD2 is a multi-tool in terms of what it can do. It was there on day one for the defense of Kyiv, and since then it has expanded into all the different types of roles it can do. Some I can't talk about, but some are in that space of search and rescue and transporting life-saving organs. Those are the fantastic things we can talk about. It also opens up not only does it open up a whole new market, but it opens up a whole new type of person that will be interested in working in that market, right? So there's a whole different
Are you
part of the
actually working on advertising that as this kind of real dual use thing, or not yet?
We are working on it. It will be something that we will lean into into the future. I think from what I see, the first use case for PD2 in the UK is a military one. So that's what we're supporting right now. But definitely in the future, there are other opportunities for PD2 carrying radars, carrying different types of scanners. So yeah, looking forward to all that.
Yeah, we wish you good luck with all those new opportunities that you are exploring. And we've agreed to talk again soon when,
Yeah.
the company has some more to share, right?
Yeah,
Can we
definitely.
count on that?
Definitely, you can count on that. Hopefully, we can do it
In
in
person.
more of a in person would be great, and around maybe some of the equipment or whatever you want to see. It would be great for you to follow this story. We are leading the way in Ukrainian industry, exporting out and getting out to places like the UK and beyond. And we hope that other partners want to do the same. We want to kind of lead the way, and we're excited about the future. We're excited about what that means for Ukraine as well, because there is that benefit to Ukraine. Us being successful over here means that we can support those common R&D programs, and we can increase the investment into R&D and keep Ukraine as a leader in that way, and also bringing in what UK will learn as it wants its sovereign technology as well. There's great opportunity to harmonize those things, so that's fantastic. I think we've got the right partner in the UK, and I think that's going to be great for the future.
Let's hope for that. And thank you for supporting Ukraine with everything that you do. And good luck with that. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, I'm only a small part of that. I think there are thousands of people back in Ukraine that are really doing the hard work. So I just do my best.
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain.
Thank you very much.